are a coward today, your children and children's children will pay the price of our cowardice. We must speak out and bear the consequences.
Boy, go ring so to no mama, go suck out to no mama. For Cherry, when I fight games, what did I do with me? What did I do the Empress on the higher power? We ball every day. We go try money out of blood clot bank down in Ghana to bring how much black people that blood clot Africa. What did I do with all your Empress there? That's why until today I have to big up your Empress there. When you have higher power.
But I write you now, not in anger. I write to you with the calm of the ancestors, with the stillness of those who stood beneath colonial gallows, yet never bowed their spirits. I speak with the voice of empires older than your archives, from kingdoms whose gold-built cathedrals you now claim as yours. This is not a letter, it is a reckoning. You came to our lands as guests and left as thieves. You entered with Bibles in one hand and bayonets in the other, preaching salvation as you shackled our minds and plundered our minerals.
Boy, go ring so to no mama, go suck out to no mama.
Backbush TV, give thanks for life, because life are the greatest. But today we're going to just jump in on some video where we see it's a big development and Africa up on the rising, and you don't know Ibra and Cherry, they do the work. So Backbush TV, like and subscribe, but we just jump in on it and go and watch them video. Where we see them a big up Ibra and Cherry. So Backbush TV, like and subscribe, we're going on it. Mad.
If you are a coward today, your children and children's children will pay the price of our cowardice. We must speak out and bear the consequences. Yes, right now, you can see what they are trying to do to eliminate my good friend Ibrahim Traore. Survived many assassination attempts. Because when you are doing good, they'll take you out. It is Samora Moises Machel who once said, when you hear the former colonizers saying you are good, you must pause and ask yourself, what evil are you committing against your people?
Blaise Compaoré, the man who betrayed his best friend, Thomas Sankara, for power and promises made to him by France. But just look at him today. He looks hollow, empty, as if the soul in him died long ago. This betrayal cuts deeper when you remember who Sankara was to him. They weren't just friends. They were brothers in every sense. They grew up together under the same roof. When Compaoré lost his father as a boy, it was Thomas Sankara's father who stepped in and raised him like his own son. These two were inseparable. They shared meals, traveled the world together, whispered their dreams to each other. Sankara trusted Compaoré blindly. So much so that when his bodyguards discovered Compaoré's plan to stage a coup and asked for permission to arrest him, Sankara refused. He said he would never betray a friend. If Compaoré wanted to take power through a coup, so be it. Even when Ghana's Secret Service got wind of Compaoré's plan, not just to overthrow but to kill Sankara, and alerted President J.J. Rawlings, who in turn offered help to stop the coup, Sankara still declined. He stood by his friend, even to death. If he wants to kill me and take over, let him, Sankara said. And that's exactly what happened. On October 15, 1987, Blaise Compaoré, with the backing of France, staged a coup. Thomas Sankara was assassinated. France had everything to gain. They didn't want Sankara, a man who stood against neo-colonialism, who rejected Western control and called out imperialism with fearless clarity. They saw Compaoré as someone they could use, and they did. They promised him protection, wealth, and power. Compaoré ruled Burkina Faso with an iron fist for 27 years. He looted billions. He handed over Burkina Faso's gold to France while his people suffered. Now, he hides in Ivory Coast. He and his brother, who helped orchestrate Sankara's murder, are both wanted by the Burkinabe government. He's no longer Blaise Compaoré. He's taken on a new name. He's now an Ivorian citizen, trying to bury the past. But history remembers.
For too long, you have mistaken African patience for permission. You thought our silence meant surrender. You believed our diplomacy was weakness. You misread our civility as chains, forgetting that even a lion sleeps with dignity. But I write you now, not in anger. I write to you with the calm of the ancestors, with the stillness of those who stood beneath colonial gallows, yet never bowed their spirits. I speak with the voice of empires older than your archives, from kingdoms whose gold-built cathedrals you now claim as Your spit. This is not a letter, is a reckoning. You came to our lands as guests and left as thieves. You entered with Bibles in one hand and bayonets in the other, preaching salvation as you shackled our minds and plundered our minerals. You renamed our rivers, desecrated our shrines, uploaded our museums, and then dared to teach us civilization. What is civilization to a people who built Timbuktu when Paris was a swamp? What is progress to a people who mastered astronomy while your king still feared eclipses? France, this is not about the past alone. This is about your present appetite. This is about how you still drink from African wells and pretend your thirst is righteous. You speak of partnerships, yet your embassies dictate our elections. You preach free markets, yet your companies monopolize our resources. You scream about democracy, yet your soldiers guard dictators who serve your interest. And in Burkina Faso, in the heart of West Africa, we say enough. You still owe us gold artifacts, blood, and truth. You've built museums from our stolen memory, economies from our stolen labor, and pride from our stolen identity. You created narratives that depict Africa as broken, yet it is your fingerprints that stain every fracture. You owe our mothers the sons buried under your foreign wars. You owe our soil the purity you poisoned for uranium and profit. You owe our future the dignity you tried to erase with every lie published in your newspapers, every puppet installed in our palaces. And we are no longer asking politely. The storm is not coming, the storm is already here. It gathers in the minds of our youth who no longer dream in French. It whispers in the chants of our people who all reject your currency and your control. It echoes in the silence of African leaders who finally refuse to be pawns. You have until now benefited from our division. You fed on our tribal tensions, sowed discord, and presented yourself as the only solution to the chaos you engineered. But Africa has read the manual now. We've studied your tactics. We've named your games, and we've chosen not to play. We are building a new order, one not defined by your parliaments or polished in your press. A sovereign, unbought, uncolonized order rooted in truth, dignity, and justice. This is your warning. Return what you stole. Not only the artifacts that sit behind glass, but the resources, the honor, and the independence you stripped with treaties signed at gunpoint. Return them or face a generation that no longer fears your flags or your threats. You see, this is not just Burkina Faso speaking. This is the voice of Africa, unfiltered. The voice of Mali rising, the voice of Niger awakened, the voice of a continent that has been quiet too long. You may mock our courage on your screens, you may twist our message in your editorials, but the ground beneath you is shifting, your grip is slipping, your time is ending. We do not seek vengeance, we seek restoration. But make no mistake, restoration is not a request. It is a demand backed by resolve, and we are prepared to stand, to resist, and if need be, to rebuild from ashes. This is only the beginning. Signed with fire, not fear. From Ouagadougou to the conscience of a sleeping empire, wake up or be swept away. The currency of chains. France, let us speak plainly now. You did not just take our gold. You minted it into your prosperity, then returned to sell us back our own freedom at interest. The CFA franc, that colonial relic you swore was an economic partnership. Let the world hear it today. It is not a currency, and it is a lishek. For decades, your government claimed it ensured stability. But whose stability? Was it the African farmer who could not export his harvest without your permission? Was it the mother in Ouagadougou whose bread cost more because the euro sneezed in Paris? Was it the young Burkinab genius who had to flee to Lyon or Marseille to find value for his mind? No, the only stability it brought was to your stock markets, to your illusion of African dependency, to your dream that our nations would never truly stand alone, because your hand would always be on our throat. Disguised as a handshake, you demanded we deposit our foreign reserves with your central bank. You taxed our sovereignty before we ever collected it. You robbed us and told us to be grateful for your management of the spoils. How dare you? You built cathedrals in Paris with the profits from Congolese rubber, Ivorian cocoa, Burkina cotton, and then had the audacity to place African masks in your museums labeled not as loot, but as artifacts generously donated. You built wealth with stolen hands and then raised those same hands as if they were clean. But we remember how your corporations operated behind puppet regimes siphoning uranium from Niger. While her people sat in darkness, we remember how your embassies played chess with our elections, installing leaders who spoke French fluently but never dared speak freedom. We remember the coups you funded, the resistance you labeled as rebels, the patriots you called threats to democracy. No more. The youth of Africa are not your colony. We are not here to beg. We are not here to bargain. We are here to reclaim, and hear me clearly, this is not a request, and this is a final notice. So return what you stole. Not just the artifacts, not just the gold, not just the money sitting in your vaults. Return the respect, the agency, the right to chart our destiny without your shadow. We will no longer ask. We will act. The CFA franc will fall, because a continent cannot rise with foreign chains around its economy. We will build our own institutions. We will trade in our own currencies. We will educate our children in our own languages. We will define ourselves not through the lens of a Paris newsroom, but through the eyes of African wisdom and truth. You can call it defiance. We call it deliverance. And do not mistake our unity for noise. What you hear rising across West Africa is not mere outrage, it is order being restored. What you hear from Mali, from Niger, from Burkina Faso is the sound of empires being broken. Without bullets, just by the truth. We did not come to threaten you with war, but understand this, if you continue to threaten our freedom with debt, dependency, and deceit, then you will indeed face a storm not of our weapons, but of our will. A storm of minds awakened, a storm of youth mobilized, a storm of nations aligned no longer on your terms, but on our own. Africa will not remain in the waiting room of history. Our hour has struck, and in this new dawn, the old currency of control is worthless. The lion has risen, and he does not negotiate with those who once held the whip. The why of civilization. France, you once called it a civilizing mission. You arrived with the Bible in one hand and a rifle in the other. You taught us your prayers, but banned our drums. You showed us cathedrals, then destroyed our temples. You spoke of light, but moved like shadows. And when you were done baptizing the soil in our blood, you dared to say we were better off. Better off. You erased languages that carried centuries of wisdom. You outlawed names that spoke of identity and spirit. You tore families from roots, turned kings into prisoners, turned queens into housemaids. You humiliated sages, buried griots, and then wrote your own version of history, where the conqueror is always civilized and the victim always silent. But hear this now. We were never uncivilized. We were uncolonized. And there's a difference. Before you built your palaces, we built kingdoms. Before your flags flew over our lands, our ancestors flew with the stars. Timbuktu was teaching the world when your kings were still hunting in forests. We birthed mathematics while you battled superstition. We honored nature while you divided the heavens into pieces of paper and called it ownership. So no, Franze, you did not bring us civilization. You brought us interruption. You see, your greatest success was not just in stealing land. It was in stealing the mirror. You made us see ourselves through your gaze, ashamed of our skin, our tongues, our gods, our rhythm. You didn't just rob gold, you robbed memory. You didn't just take cotton, you took confidence. You didn't just loot minerals, you looted meaning. But now the mirror has shattered. And what stands before you is not the Africa of yesterday. Not the Africa that apologizes for wanting dignity. Not the Africa that boasts when it builds. Nor the Africa that waits for handouts dressed as help. We are not ashamed of what we were before you came. We are not confused about what you did. And we are not afraid to say it now. You lied. You lied to our fathers. You lied to the world. And you're still lying every time your media calls our resistance instability. Every time your officials call our independence dangerous. Every time your think tanks publish fear-mongering analyses about military regimes in West Africa. What's truly dangerous is truth. Because truth cuts deeper than bayonets. And the truth is this. We do not need your version of civilization. We do not need your endorsement to be free. We do not need your textbooks to define who we are. We will raise our children on the shoulders of our ancestors, not in the shadows of colonizers.
Evidence of good governance. Today I'm reluctant to use the word democracy. Because what is it? John Henrik Clark, that great American, said that when African countries regained their independence, not a single one of them adopted a government system that is based on African traditions. We all adopted systems that were inherited from our erstwhile colonizers. And Clark says, none of us will ever succeed on the basis of those systems. And I can't agree more. Look at Africa today. As I speak, Sudan. Look at Sudan. Look at Somalia. Look at Democratic Republic of Congo. Look at the entire Sahel. In Guinea, Doumbouya had to mount a coup d'etat. In Niger, they had to mount a coup d'etat. In Mali, Timi Goïta had to mount a coup d'etat. In Burkina, Ibrahim Traore had to mount a coup d'etat. In Gabon, Nguema had to mount a coup d'etat. There may have been successful elections in Botswana and in Namibia, but those are few and far between. We must interrogate this thing we call democracy. In Kenya, the people you call leaders, don't listen to them when they are in podiums in Nairobi, no. Listen to them when they are speaking in their mother tongue at funerals. When they are their true selves, They are Bukusus or Maragoli speaking Mulembe nation, or they are Kambas, or they are Kikuyus, or they are Luos. Their political parties don't matter. That is why there is not a single presidential candidate that has contested an election after 5 years in the same political party. As I said before, the forests change, but the monkeys remain the same with the same habits. And let me tell you, if you continue doing the same thing in the same way, thinking that will change, nothing will change. I now see individuals across the country congregating, and you call them opposition. These were individuals who were in the Moi government. They were in the Kibaki government. They were in the Uhuru government. What is new about them? Nothing except their insatiable greed for power and the privileges that power offers. So we are assembled here to ask critical and serious questions. I've been around. I was here in 1980s. I was here in 1990s when the entire movement of change the Constitution was alive and well. I was in the Council of the Law Society. I've been here and I've seen Kenyans repeatedly electing individuals in the name of democracy who in other parts of the world would be completely unelectable. We elect comedians. And as one wise man, is it Albert Einstein, who said, when you elect a comedian to take him or her to the palace becomes a circus. And that is why we have what we have today. What is the value of knowing that which is right without doing that which is right? I keep on hearing Kenyans saying, we have a beautiful constitution. What is the beauty of a constitution which you honor and breach?
Boy, go ring so to no mama, go suck out to no mama. Big up all who are send the gift then come give me. But Cherry, when I fight games, what did I do with me? What did I do the Empress on the higher power? We ball every day. We go draw money out of blood clot bank down in Ghana to bring how much black people that blood clot Africa. What did I do with all the Empress there? That's why until today they have to big up your Empress there. When you have higher power. Because when I say she do, no batty boy not do it round here. No drunken not do it round here. I say me can add some people. No, you know, say me add people, make my fire calm down. If me add some people, my fire calm down. Hold on. Blessed.
Man, yeah, man, bless up yourself. Go and blaze the fire, man. We'll go and listen to you.
Hold on, let me turn up this. Yeah, what you say?
No, me I say go and blaze the fire, man. Me I go and listen. Me like the style, you know?
Yeah. 212, where are you from?
No, Yard, man, over there, Canada.
Yeah, Yard, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Man has some respect, you know.
Yeah, man, bless up, man. We like this style.
Hold on, I go add the next one.
For Africa, see?
Hold on, I go add the next one. I like how the Rasta them now. I like how the Rasta them. Although I don't really want to add no Jamaican, but we have to do it. Hold on, I try add some people at the evening.
No, you have some
Hold on,
Jamaican
hold
man
on.
know themselves,
Yeah.
you know, so.
Let me try and add some people. I want to add some car. All of me no want do it. Me have to do it. You see it? I don't
No,
see
you
power
can't
for
burn
me.
out
You know.
all of them. You can't burn out all of them still, you know.
When you say me can't burn out all of them, like who? Because you say if you not come with the fire with me burn, you see this area gone.
No,
So
no,
who like who
no,
you say
yeah,
me can't burn?
no, yeah, me I say you don't want to bring up the Jamaican them, but me I say, I know every Jamaican still like the one them where you burn. So me I say, you can't burn out all of them still.
Oh. No, man. Watch out now. You putting them out for them, me burn, man. Yeah. I remember tell you
Yeah.
something. You see anybody me had for my life. Remember tell you something. Me go Africa already. See it?
Yeah,
Me, where you see ya? Me, go Africa already. Me go Gambia. See?
yeah,
You know edifice, right? You know edifice, right?
yeah, man,
All right.
yeah, man,
And you know saying pass off.
yeah.
All right. Me and him up on the tour. Shiloh.
I see.
See? The youth when they Nicky Silk. We sing like Garnet Silk. Me can't tell you who I'm with up on the tour. See?
Yeah,
Yeah, enough more artists. Some from Trinidad Albout, some from England. Cause I was a festival, big international festival. See?
yeah,
And out of the 100 odd blood clot entertainer, and me, shook up the whole tour. You hear me say?
see.
Yeah.
See.
And nobody don't know me. Me the youngest artist on the blood clot tour. So you hear me I say to you, General. You see the song there when me go sing on the stage?
Yeah,
And my song the whole Gambia sing. The biggest song when me sing, listen. How much African blood underground? How much black people skull underground? How much black people blood underground? More than a trillion thousand pound. More than a trillion thousand pound. How much African blood underground? Hey, me make sure tell you something. Me never like sing a song. Cause when me sing a song, I be a cold bum take me.
Backbush TV, like and subscribe. And go and share the thing, you know what I mean? Proud of Cherry for what I do for Africa. Everybody love him. So Backbush TV, like and subscribe, go and share. And remember, support that tune there. Pray. Mad.